Welcome to Cape Ann Report. I'm your host, Maureen Aylward. Cape Ann Report is a weekly program that covers events and different types of things that are happening on Cape Ann. For this show, I'm speaking with Melissa Cox, Eric Majors, and John Della Russo about the Gloucester City plastic bag and styrofoam ban that's coming up. Melissa, John, and Eric, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
I'm happy to have you here. This is an important issue because it deals with plastic pollution. Right here in Gloucester, we are a beautiful, beautiful town in the area of Cape Ann, and it's suffering from a litter problem with plastic bags. So, Melissa, why don't I start with you and ask you more about what's behind the city ordinance to pass this plastic bag ban and also polystyrene or styrofoam?
Okay. The nature of an ordinance change is, or addition in this case, is usually brought forward by constituents to a councilor, and they introduce it, and it goes through the process. It goes to city council, it gets referred to the subcommittee, in this case it's ordinance and administration, and then it goes, after they make their recommendation, it goes to full city council for a public hearing, and then if passed, it's 30-day waiting period before it becomes law, and if not passed, then it just goes away. So in this case, some constituents came to me looking for a polystyrene ban. Some people came to Greg Verga for a plastic bag ban, and we introduced them together, both of them. And basically it was, you know, we put things forward for discussion, and that's kind of how things happen.
In the city council meetings?
Yes. In this case, you know, a lot of it came from the 1 hour at a time gang when we do our cleanups, like what we see the most, and it's a lot of polystyrene and plastic bags.
So when we're talking about polystyrene, we're talking about styrofoam coffee cups and takeout containers and like ice cream containers, anything
Correct.
that's made out of styrofoam,
Correct.
those small pieces. And the plastic bags, we all know, they're ubiquitous, they're everywhere, they're used in so many storefronts and in retail establishments. But how will they be affected before we get into more of the, how will they be affected by this ban?
Well, the ordinance, if passed as written, there's a phase-in, so that way the stores can get rid of the stock that they have. But I mean, it's 100% ban on both items, plastic bags and the polystyrene. So hopefully within a year, Gloucester will be 100% bag and polystyrene free. And you know, obviously, if you're going to a community outside of Gloucester and you're bringing them back in, we're not going to be able to ban it 100%. But I'm hoping that we see a large reduction of litter and waste in the waters when we go do our cleanups. So hopefully.
So Eric, so you're part of you're the executive director of Seaside Sustainability, and this is a local organization that's working on sustainability issues. But you're also part of the Gloucester Clean City Commission,
yeah.
right? So tell me what you're working on and how you're supporting or working with Melissa.
So I got on the Gloucester Clean City Commission actually as a reason to help ban plastic bags and polystyrene. We didn't. That was actually a afterthought after we discussed. And so my experience in sustainability, I was able to help with some students at Manchester Essex to ban plastic bags there.
In Manchester.
In Manchester, yeah. And so, and my take on it is to really educating our population on it. So we're talking kids all the way to, you know, adults. And so we've taken the outreach really portion from Melissa, and and it's taken many kind of iterations. Part of what we did is we wrote a 4-page letter, business letter, and Melissa and I did, and some other people. And we've been getting that letter to businesses and asking them for their support, or at least letting them know this is kind of there, and giving them a way to they can contact Melissa, contact our chair, Ainsley Smith, of the Gloucester Clean City Commission, to say, hey, if you have, you know, you want to discuss this, please reach out. And they've had very little responses, negative response.
Oh,
so
very
little negative response, yeah.
Yes, we've approached, and we're only approaching the the brick and mortar businesses. So we're not going to, it really doesn't matter anyway. So we have about 100 more to get to, so right, about 100 more to get to. And we've also been working with a couple local schools, Landmark School, and Paul Howard is a teacher there. And he and his students came out, as well as Rachel Rex, at Gloucester High School, and her students. And kind of collaboratively, they canvassed the town and got these letters out to about 100 people. 100 businesses, 120 businesses. And then we've created an online petition. So that has about 800 and almost 900 signatures. And then we have about 600 hand signatures in support of it. So we have about 1,500 signatures that we've gotten. And so our kind of takeaway is that there are economical and environmental alternatives to these products, and it's not. As time has gone on, the lower the cost of these, environmentally friendly products have become, and then they're really kind of almost in line with, and in some cases, more reasonable than the polystyrene and plastic bags.
Right. So lots of good reasons to move forward. And John, I want to get to you. You're a college student, and tell me a little bit about what your work is in relationship to the plastic bag ban.
Yeah, so I am an intern this summer with Seaside Sustainability, and one of the reasons why I wanted to get involved in the first place was because of this ban. I found it to be an opportunity to really do some great work in a great community. And so a lot of my work has been on the outreach side, putting together events so that we could have people go out and collect signatures, talking to businesses, trying to get the word out there as much as possible, because I think the real hurdle to get over is making sure people have the information that they need to understand what a ban on plastic bags and polystyrene means for them. And so I think if we can give them the correct information, I think that's really the bulk of the work that needs to be done.
So you're engaging people and talking with them, which is so vital for them to understand what the impact is going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, we all go shopping and we end up with these plastic bags, and what do we do with them, right? Sometimes they end up in the recycling bin, which they shouldn't, right?
Unfortunately, only about 3% of plastic bags actually get recycled. Most of the time they get reused, and with a reuse, it means that, say it's a reuse of a waste bin in the bathroom, and then it gets, it gets tossed into another bag, which gets tossed into another bag. Massachusetts is lucky because we do burn most of our trash. But
which
places, which has its own side effects, but in this case, we're not using landfills where, a plastic bag, there's no idea of how long it takes to decompose. They're looking at 500 to 1,000 years. And even when it breaks down into microplastics, which are actually more harmful to humans and animals because you can't see them. Right. We could be breathing them in right now and you don't know it, and it's a fossil fuel, so it could be carcinogenic. We don't know. Right. It hasn't been around. 30 years ago, we never had plastic bags or polystyrene. So, it's something new for us, and it's just, unfortunately, 30 years is not enough time to do any research.
Right.
And then, I think when people hear recycling, they think my blue, my tan, or my green curbside compost. Curbside
recycling bin.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and they say, plastic bags, plastic strapping, so they throw all that stuff in there. And the plastic bags are like the worst thing you could put in that curbside recycling. Because what it actually does, so the truck comes up, picks it up, goes up to, it's called a MRF, it's called a materials recovery facility, and so ours is JRM now, and up on Route 1, and it's a massive facility. Anyway, it's a big conveyor belt, lots of things that's going on. Well, one of the first systems is a large wheel, multiple wheels with large teeth on it, and it processes, the first kind of step of processing what gets recycled, what doesn't get recycled. And what happens with all these plastic bags and this strapping that comes around a box or something like that, that we put in there because we think, because we're doing a good job, like I'm recycling, I'm doing well, that stuff is the worst. And what happens is, so it gets caught around these wheels, and so workers have to, first of all, they have to shut down the entire system. And so they have to shut it down for somewhere around 10 to 15% of the time that it runs. And so they
Wow,
actually have
that's
to
a
get
lot.
wheels cut in there, box cutters, and these things are huge. And so not only is it taking a lot of time, which then equates to money, you know, if
Money
they're-
for the city of Gloucester, it
Well,
costs more.
Yeah, I mean, it could turn around and bite us because if we're putting plastic bags in the recycling and it's causing them downtime, it's costing them money. So,
They're
you know,
passing
when
those
we
expenses off
renew
to us.
our contract with them, they could increase our fees. So, and on top of it, if they see a plastic bag in your bin, they won't pick it up at all. And then maybe you don't see it out there, you know, we're a windy city. It's just bad.
Right, how many times have people drove down the street to see the bags
Well, I
attached
mean,
to the tree?
in our
It's
city,
always such a,
yeah, in our city, when the wind comes,
and where does it go?
the whole
Yeah.
area just becomes a disaster. I mean, it would be nice to have like, you know, covers on those. But I want to finish that it's very dangerous also for those workers
Right.
to get up there and, you know, shut down the system and, you know, cut these things out with their box cutters. So it's not a very winning situation.
So we're talking about the economic, environmental, and really the outreach education piece of this. Sounds like a really an important project here. And John, so
Yeah.
you're a young person
Yeah.
getting involved in this, and you see the benefit and the impact.
Mhm.
What are some of your goals, you know, in doing this work? And you're working on the
Yeah.
policy side too. So
Yeah. I think this is a great opportunity, excuse me, to really shift the culture of how we think about environmentalism. Because plastic bags are so ubiquitous now, it can be scary for some people to want to change that behavior. You know, they would think that that's such a huge, major shift. But by educating and showing them that, you know, there are better alternatives out there, it opens the door for then later down the line for us to work on other initiatives to really make sure that we're securing a greener future for generations to come. So the ban on plastic bags and polystyrene is great as it's for itself, but it's also a great jumping off point for other things that can be done.
And this is happening statewide too. This isn't just in Gloucester. This is happening in other places like Manchester. But John, you mentioned a number of other cities and towns.
Yeah, so
the
right
state.
now there are 55 cities and towns in the state that have a plastic bag ban. There's another 23 that have a polystyrene ban. So we've seen a real increase in the number of towns that are passing similar bans just within the past few years. And, you know, that's going along with a bunch of other cities within the United States and even some countries that have bans completely. So I know France is one of them that has a complete ban. And so it's really showing that Massachusetts is on its way to being a leader in this area. We all know Massachusetts is at the forefront of a lot of things, and so it would be great to see Massachusetts catch up in that as well.
Yeah. Well, we'll stay tuned. I guess there's Facebook page that folks can
Yep.
take a look at this.
Gloucester ban the bag.
GloucesterBanTheBag.org. Or
well,
Gloucester
it's
Ban the Bag on Facebook.
Yeah,
On
yeah, it's a
Facebook.
like,
So just
it's
on
like a like
Facebook.
page.
So
Yep.
Gloucester Ban the Bag.
Yep.
Eric, John, and Melissa, thank you so much for being on Cape Ann Report and talking about this important issue.
Thank you for having
And
us.
viewers, please think before you pick up a plastic bag. And until the next time on Cape Ann Report, take care.